Even the biggest superstars aren't immune to releasing a single that misses the mark. The key is to bounce back quickly. In this video, we'll look at 8 artists that recovered from a major flop single. Christina Aguilera. When Christina Aguilera released Dirty in 2002, as the lead single from her second studio album Stripped, it was a risk. She switched up her bubblegum pop image for a dirty, sexy aesthetic with the song's provocative music video. It was polarizing and didn't really connect with her fan base. Commercially, it underperformed, peaking at only number 48 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was low, coming off #1 singles like Come On Over and Lady Marmalade. Despite the lukewarm chart performance of Dirty, it didn't really slow down Christina's career. She doubled down on the Stripped album, releasing follow-up singles that showed her versatility. Beautiful, released just months later, became one of the defining ballads of the 2000s, peaking at number 2 on the Hot 100 and winning a Grammy Award for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. The song not only redeemed the Stripped era, but it put her back on track. The next singles, Fighter and Can't Hold Us Down, also did well, peaking in the top 20 of the Hot 100. An era that started with a flop lead single turned into one of the most influential albums with lasting cultural impact. Looking back, Dirty is now considered a cult classic and one of Christina's boldest career moves, but at the time, it was Beautiful that rescued her career from what could have been a damaging commercial decline. Britney Spears. By 2003, Britney Spears was facing a lot of pressure to evolve her sound and maintain her pop dominance. Her lead single from In The Zone, Me Against the Music featuring Madonna, was meant to start off the era with a bang. While the collaboration with the Queen of Pop generated hype, the song itself received mixed reviews and didn't perform as expected on the charts, peaking at just number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100. For an artist of Britney's stature at the time, it was underwhelming. However, she quickly turned things around with her next single, Toxic, released in early 2004. The song became one of the most iconic hits of her career, peaking at number 9 on the Hot 100 and topping charts worldwide. The song was an instant classic and even won Britney her first ever Grammy Award for Best Dance Recording. The momentum of Toxic carried the entire In The Zone album, helping it debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and proving that Britney was more than capable of adapting to an ever-changing pop landscape. Looking back, Me Against the Music is appreciated as a cultural moment, but it was underwhelming, and Toxic was the song that defined that era. Madonna. In 2003, Madonna released American Life, a politically charged album that was a big risk. The title track became one of her most polarizing lead singles. Despite Madonna's star power, the song flopped on the charts, peaking at number 37 on the Billboard Hot 100. The controversy surrounding the anti-war themed music video, which was pulled before its official release due to the Iraq War, further damaged this momentum. Critics were divided, and for the first time in her career, Madonna was viewed as out of touch with the pop landscape, but she has always been a master of reinvention. She followed the American Life misstep with her 2005 album Confessions on a Dance Floor, which was her return to form. The lead single Hung Up, built around an iconic ABBA sample, exploded globally, peaking at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming one of her most successful singles in years. The album itself was a commercial and critical success as she went back to her dance pop sound. Suddenly, the narrative has shifted. Madonna was once again the queen of pop. The recovery wasn't just about sales, it was about cultural relevance. Hung Up became a staple in clubs, while Confessions on a Dance Floor reminded both fans and critics of Madonna's ability to adapt to any era. Beyonce. When Beyonce released Run the World Girls in 2011 as the lead single from her 4th album 4, expectations were very high. Coming off the success of I Am Sasha Fierce, fans anticipated another global anthem. Instead, while the song's message of empowerment was strong, its aggressive sound polarized listeners. It only peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming one of Beyonce's weakest performing lead singles. Critics questioned if she had lost her ability to deliver radio hits, sparking discussions about whether Beyonce's dominance might be fading. However, her career dip didn't last for long. While Run the World struggled, the full album itself was great, with tracks like Love on Top and Best Thing I Never Had eventually gaining traction. But the real turnaround came 2 years later, when Beyonce completely rewrote the rules of album promotion. In December 2013, she she dropped her self-titled album without any prior announcement, a groundbreaking move that changed the music industry. The project debuted on number 1, selling over 600,000 copies in just 3 days, which returned her to the top tier of the charts. This moment wasn't just a comeback, it was a career reinvention. Beyonce became an albums artist, delivering classic album after classic album. After the underperformance of Run the World, she transformed her career. The Weeknd. When The Weeknd released his debut studio album Kissland in 2013, it was meant to cement the momentum he built with his trilogy of mixtapes. However, the album fell short of expectations. While it did debut on number 2 on the Billboard 200, it lacked a clear hit single that could carry it beyond his cult fanbase. The lead single Kissland had that weird dark sound that was more like his early mixtapes. It couldn't perform on radio, and his disturbing lyrics were too dark to resonate with a mainstream audience. For a moment, it looked like The Weeknd might remain an underground artist instead of becoming a global superstar. The turning point came in 2014 and 2015 when he shifted his sound to be more pop-friendly, being featured on Ariana Grande's hit Love Me Harder and dropping Earned It from the 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack introduced him to a whole new audience. This was the first taste of his mainstream success. The real breakthrough, however, arrived with the 2015 album Beauty Behind the Madness. Singles like Can't Feel My Face and The Hills became cultural phenomena, going on to peak at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This was a dramatic turnaround for an artist who had just 2 years earlier been criticized for being too inaccessible. The Weeknd had managed to evolve his sound without losing his identity. Looking back, Kissland is often seen as a necessary transitional record that helped him refine his sound. While it may have been labeled a flop at the time, the lessons learned from that era directly paved the way for his superstardom. Nicki Minaj. In 2014, Nicki Minaj attempted to soften her image and show her vulnerable side with the single Pills and Potions. The song was chosen as the lead single for her third studio album, The Pink Print, but it didn't perform as expected. While it reached number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100, it failed to become the blockbuster hit fans and critics were expecting. The song's muted reception was seen as a misstep for Nicki, who at the time was known for larger-than-life singles like Super Bass and Starships. Many wondered if the era had lost momentum before it began. However, she quickly turned things around. Later in 2014, she released Anaconda, a bold and raunchy single that sampled a classic, fueled by a viral music video that broke Vevo's record for the most views in 24 hours at the time. Anaconda surged to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song not only reignited excitement for the Pink Print, it showed Nicki's ability to command attention. The album itself went on to spawn several hits. Songs like Only with Drake, Lil Wayne, and Chris Brown, and Truffle Butter extended the era's relevance. Well beyond its rocky start, Nicki was firmly back on top, proving that one lukewarm single wasn't enough to derail her career. She is undoubtedly the biggest female rapper of all time, as her legendary career full of hits has some flops here and there. Tate McRae. In 2021, Tate McRae was beginning to emerge as one of pop's most promising newcomers, following the breakout success of You Broke Me First. However, when she released Feel Like Shit as the lead single from her debut studio album, the reception was underwhelming. The song failed to gain traction on radio or streaming platforms, not even charting on the Billboard Hot 100. For an artist that felt like she was on the cusp of stardom, this could have been a setback. But Tate didn't let this lukewarm performance define her. Instead of pulling back, she doubled down, following up with the upbeat single She's All I Wanna Be, which went on to peak at number 44 on the Billboard Hot 100. It showed she could deliver a real banger, proving that Feel Like Shit was just a stumble. A real big moment came with Greedy in 2023. The single became a TikTok sensation, exploding on streaming platforms and reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. It is now close to 2 billion streams on Spotify. It marked a career-defining moment that repositioned her as a legitimate pop star, capable of competing with the biggest names of her generation. By bouncing back so quickly, Tate McRae turned what could have been a one-hit wonder career into a promising start. Today, she's seen as one of the leading voices of Gen Z pop, with her latest album So Close to What solidifying her spot. Post Malone. In 2021, Post Malone released Motley Crue as a standalone single, marketed as a summer anthem and a preview to his next era. However, the song didn't perform to expectations. Despite a flashy NASCAR-themed video directed by Cole Bennett, the song stalled on the Billboard Hot 100 and fading quickly. Coming off the huge Hollywood's Bleeding era, it was disappointing. At the time, it seemed like Post Malone was in a transitional moment. His previous album had diamond hits like Circles and Sunflower, so expectations for his follow-up era were sky high. With Motley Crue failing to connect, some wondered if Posty's hit-making streak was over. But he quickly reminded the world why he is one of the most reliable hitmakers of his generation. His 2022 single One Right Now with The Weeknd reignited the momentum and took him to a new chapter of his career. Then, in 2024, he came back to the top of the charts with his country single I Had Some Help with Morgan Wallen, which stayed at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 for 6 weeks. Today, Motley Crue is largely forgotten, as it wasn't on any album, and he quickly recovered by changing up his sound once again. Which artists that recovered from a major flop single did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.